That's funny.
Hey everybody and welcome. I'm Matt, Client Success Manager for White House Custom Color, and I'm very honored to be sitting here with my friends Michelle and Jeff Richardson. So we'll get to you guys in just a second. I'm going to do a couple announcements and then we'll turn the floor back over to you. So first of all, if you haven't hit the subscribe button for our Whcc YouTube, make sure and do that because you're going to get notified of cool events like this one that we're doing today. Plus there's over 300 videos on the YouTube page. Product information, technical advice, sales, pricing, all that stuff. So make sure and go and check that out. Hit the subscribe button there. If you're not following along on Instagram, it is at WHCC Pro. So make sure and hit the follow button on there. And then for any of your product details you have questions about, hit up WHCC.com. The website is new, it's very interactive. A lot of great information on there for you to check out. And then just a quick reminder, if you do have questions for the Richardsons while we're live today, make sure and put them in the chat because we'll get them up on the board and have these guys answer them while we're chatting with them today. So without any further ado, thank you for being with us, guys. It's our honor to have you here. I was messaging with Jeff one night and I was like, hey, would you guys like to come for a visit? And right away he's like, absolutely. He's like, I'll check with the boss, but count us in.
Yeah, absolutely. We are absolutely thrilled to be here. This is exciting just to be able to, I think in my 30 years of business, maybe my first or only second trip to the actual color light. It's just awesome to be here. To see what,
thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to see some albums being done this morning. It's really
very
cool.
cool.
So, yeah, just honestly, just to connect is just amazing.
Yeah,
so it feels great.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Thanks for having us. We're
for
happy
sure.
to be here.
So I've had the pleasure of knowing you guys for the better part of 30 years.
Crazy.
But for people who are following along today that don't know you, can we do an introduction? And I want to start with Michelle, ladies first. Sure. Tell us about you. You're in Indiana, your business, all that fun stuff. So,
okay.
Ready, set, go.
So I'm Michelle Richardson. Been married to Jeff for 27 years.
Amazing.
We have 3 children together. We have Andrea, who is 26.
26. Yeah.
And William just turned 23. And then we have a 10-year-old, Reese. Yeah.
Oh.
So,
And a grandbaby.
oh yes, I have a grandbaby, Blake.
Our oldest is
Yeah, she'll be 4 months.
Our new
Or
grandbaby.
she may be 4 months now. I don't.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Andrea will probably let me know if she's watching.
For sure.
Oh,
And
awesome.
then Jeff, can you fill us in about you, a little bit more about the business, location, all that kind of stuff?
I can. Do we have about 3 hours?
Yeah.
If we do, then we
just
can,
grab some popcorn, everybody.
grab some popcorn. So we can dive into this. And so I'll see if I can give you the. What's the thing?
Shorthand. Or
Yeah, the shorthand version.
What's all the college kids use to do?
The Cliff Notes.
No, it's not Cliff Notes.
Oh, Chat GPT?
No, it's it's some kind of smart notes. Yeah, so anyway, so I've been out in college way too long. So anyway, let's see, 1990. So it's around a little over 30 years. Senior year in high school, I needed to get a job. I wanted some money. I thought, well, I can go out and do some work. So I joined up with a guy to roof houses. And my dad had a successful photography business. He was like, you should come to work with me. I'm like, I don't want to work with my family. That's terrible. I'm going to go get a job doing roofs. Well, about, I don't know, 3 weeks into that.
Jeff decided he didn't
on a 90-degree day, I'm like, hey, Mom or Dad, what can I do around here? So anyway, I started working for my parents. Technically kind of a third-generation photographer. My dad's dad, my grandpa, Lyndon, he had a print shop / photography studio in North Vernon, Indiana. So Dad had a successful senior picture portrait studio in Seymour, Indiana. I just jumped in and started working for him. I had no idea.
Yeah.
He saw some opportunity there. I think I was like, first thing he did was he sent me to a black and white printing class at the Winona Institute. Okay. Kind of connected me with that. After high school graduation, started going to the Winona classes like the foundations, Portrait 1, Portrait 2, and then some of the more specialized stuff, and really just learned kind of in a trade school environment, I think, so to speak, how to become a portrait photographer. We learned to do all the rule of thirds, the 3-to-1 lighting ratios, 5-to-1 lighting ratios, shooting with film. I think we shot on RB 67s, maybe.
RB.
Yeah.
You and me both.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's incredible. Worked with my family there for about 13, 14 years, and if I need to go shut this down, this is a long history. It's amazing. So anyway, 14 years. Michelle and I, great business. Michelle and I got the wild hair that we wanted to start our own business. For better or for worse, we were like, you know what, this is what we want to do. We decided to launch. We wanted to be edgy and cool and epic and all these things, and so I was from the Seymour, Jackson County area of Indiana. She's from like 2 counties over. So we'll back up a little bit. She was in like nursing school.
Yeah.
Our business got so big, she quit nursing school, started helping us at the photography studio. But we went back to kind of her area. Bloomington, Indiana was kind of a cool town. It had a blend of art and business. It's a college town.
Better eating.
100,000 people, good food, good energy.
Good size.
We were young, we didn't really know. We just like, this sounds really cool. So we thought, had some friends and mentors help me, launched a business. And we kind of knew that when we headed it, we had some experience, but we got to make this go. So we hit it with like a website, really good branding, just a lot of energy, and like just went at it and doing great work, connecting with people, and took off with Richardson Studio. That was in 2007.
Wow. And
that's the current, and that takes us where we're at today. Now we've had some, I'll get into that deeper later, but that's kind of evolved. But we're kind of a luxury high-end portrait studio, portrait/commercial. I can dive into the nuances of that in a little bit, but it's a fun ride for sure. Yeah.
And for those of you that have been in the WCC trade show booth for the last year-ish, a lot of both of your images have been featured in the booth. And Michelle made it clear earlier that there was more of her images than your images.
I was like,
Josh.
So I believe it actually is a little more.
He is a rough teacher, I'll tell you that.
I just love that you brought that up. So I had to make sure and get that documented on YouTube.
Thank you.
YouTube forever.
That was discussed for probably about a week or so, and apparently it's been brought back up. That was Michelle's work in the in your displays at Imaging, of course.
Only the biggest photography show in the U.S. No big
deal.
So in your business, we've talked a lot over the years, and even this morning, you have such a recognizable style.
Thank you.
Your commercial, your cutting edge, the word epic, which we'll talk about later, it really represents you guys and the brand, and if you want a certain look, it's Richardson Studio. So now that we know, all of us, that both of you photograph, how do the roles split down? And Michelle, I'll let you kind of take this one to begin with, of how you guys split up your different responsibilities, because working with your spouse can be challenging.
It can be, yeah.
So I'm interested to know how you guys have done it for 27 years.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm more of the sweet, kind, loving person.
And then Jeff.
And then there's, the rough.
I'm a nice person.
He is.
I like my systems.
I go through and perfect things. Like if we're working together, then I'm like fixing the hair. And then we'll take turns, like I'll see something, I go, oh, let's do this, and then he'll go, here's the camera. So we just sometimes pass the camera a lot when we're photographing together.
Okay, so you actually are doing sessions together
a
then?
Lot of
You're
the
not
time.
Splitting that off? Or?
We both. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
We seem to have a most success when in a working environment when we almost sort of on set together sometimes. Because it really
says a lot.
It lowers some of the stress factor for us. It increases the client experience.
Yeah.
And we can kind of bounce off each other. And some of our favorite sessions we've done, we work together.
But then our poor clients have so many images because they have my style and his style. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't pick.
I can only imagine, because from what we've seen and what obviously is on the walls, behind us here, I can imagine there is a lot of depth in your sessions.
There is. If you take the Raleigh family here when we're shooting this, so I did her senior pictures. Known Jeff for many years, and so there's a major dynamic going on there, and it takes both of us to balance that. So he's coming in, busy day, we're talking about some things. She's helping mom with clothing, finishing a few details. The girls are coming in, we're connected.
Entertaining the baby.
Getting baby happy. We're talking about things. It's a process where we move from the studio. They come in. We said they hardly even know we've taken pictures. She's fixing the details. We start working. She starts engaging with them. I'm making sure lines and everything's symmetrical. lighting's flowing right, she'll make a lighting adjustment here. So the camera, it's just we're all checking. I'll show her back a camera, quickly make an adjustment. So that it's a very much a yin and yang type situation. She is right. She is going off on the kind, sweet. This is beautiful. I'm more harsh. This is going to be badass. This is going to be amazing. You're going to love this. Kind of like our previous discussion about something coming up here. I'm pushing. No, we're going to do. Hang on, we're going to do it this way. We need a little more. That I see. I hear you. I see what we're doing. But it could look like this. And she's like, "Dear God, are you kidding me?" So yeah. But
she talks in paragraphs. I'm a bullet point.
Right. And you asked the question about communication. One of the nice things I think about in our relationship, Michelle is very quick to address something that pops up, and she communicates quickly. Like if there's an issue, you always know where you stand with her. And so great. It can be minorly confrontational and feel really icky at first, but it solves a lot of long-term issues, I think. And so that's been I think probably more so to her success than mine, because I'll just talk about it and stew about it, and she hits it right. This has got to be dealt with. Yeah, almost before it even know it's an issue. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's really nice.
Do you guys have additional staff then, or is it just the two of you?
We kind of use some contractors a little bit right now. We've had kind of the spectrum of on staff, W-2 employees. Right now we use a couple contractors for social media, contractor for culling our work. So one of the biggest issues when we photographs is get the after a session, a time-consuming part is culling down after a session to the ones you're going to use. So we've got a girl that we really has worked with us for a long time, and she will upload a session, get it up in the Dropbox as like smart previews, and she'll open that and go through it, take out all the bad photos, the ones that are absolutely not usable. I think there's some even AI stuff right now going on where you can do some of that. I've been exploring, but it's really a nice feature, and it really frees up I say she gave us our life back.
Absolutely.
So then I pull up those last few images, take out any more we don't, have her check it over. I usually do kind of go through Lightroom, put on our look to it, and then it gets passed off to her for like pre-retouching and that stuff. So she don't talk about it much. She's an amazing retoucher and handles the backside of that for us. So because I'm bad at that.
Awesome.
So definitely some systems that work there, and we can. If anyone has questions about that, love to share systems of the flow of going from session, offloading, getting it culled, working through Lightroom.
All the order of things.
Love doing all that. I feel like over the years we've got a really nice system that works. We really don't have to spend much time doing that anymore, and it's really amazing. So
that's great. That gives you time to spend with your grandbaby.
Yeah, grandbaby, talking, traveling, being here.
Coming and hanging out with us.
Coming and hang out with you, man. So it's awesome.
So before we keep moving here, because I know our next question jumps in more in depth about business and things of that nature. If you do have questions for Jeff and Michelle, make sure and put them into the chat, and we will ask them live. Now, if you are watching the recording of this, which I know a lot of people do, and you do have a question, go ahead and put it in there, because we know where these guys live. I know how to find them. So
we'd love to answer and connect with you. I think that's fun. We if we can spend the day in helping somebody, that's amazing for us.
Yeah,
it feels great.
So in 30 years of business, we'll just round up.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of push and pull, a lot of up and down, side to side, all the things, because the excitement is great, and then it kind of wears off, and then it becomes like, oh man, and when you and I were talking on the phone, I don't mean to leave you out of this, when Jeff and I were talking on the phone before you guys came up here about topics for the live today, you specifically said you have ridden the up and down waves of business while continuing to perform and deliver at a top level. And that was like your words I just wrote down on the paper here today.
That,
So Jeff, can you explain that and how you have managed that over 30 years? Because that's no small feat.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a real thing for sure. There's this S curve in business, and I don't know. I'm going to try to see if I can. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to break the whole thing here. But see if I can. I'm going to try. A good friend of mine showed me this, and I've kind of known it like in the back of your mind a little bit. But this really is a cool visual that I think will see if we can. I don't know. Forgive me if I break everything here. See if we can pull this up. And I want to use my notes so I talk kind of legitimately here. So hopefully we'll make this understandable. But and I think probably a lot of people know this, but. In business, I call it the S curve. Honestly, of the ebb and flow of entrepreneurship, and so it starts. The S curve kind of looks something like this. I would say would be a good way to explain it. And then so we're down here and we're like, well, this would be 2007 for us. We just talked about, Michelle's like, we should go to a cool town, start a cool business, freshen this up, make this awesome. This is a great idea. We're right here on the dot on the S curve. And so, yeah, let's do this. And we start right, we get our LLC docs in place and, figure out our structure and our operating agreement, and we're up and running. We're going to do this, get a bank account, we're doing this. And so, we're heading for us, it's probably 2 months in, and we're like, had this really awesome business back in Seymour with my dad. I'm like, well, this is a terrible idea.
What are we doing?
What in the world?
What did we do?
Like, this is going nowhere, and we are, oh my word. So then I got a small loan of $200,000 for starting a business. So we're like, well, we're going to keep going. So, and then it's like, well, maybe this is not hopeless after all. Some clients come in, they're like, start connecting with us. We're of course doing our best to be as authentic as possible and create good work. And I think I was 30 years old, just at that point where you kind of think you know life, but you really don't.
Right.
So, you're like, yeah. And then it's like, yeah, it's not hopeless. People like us, and we're doing great work, and people like it, and we go home at night feeling good about it, and dopamine levels are going up and down. And, it's like this is working. And so, and then you're like, wow, this is happening. Wow, we're doing this. We're in the thick of it. You've got, back then it was probably 1 or 2 sessions, 3 or 4 times a week. Moderately sized senior picture sessions, family sessions, throw in a headshot, wedding on the weekend. Starting to work, and you're like, wow, this is good. This is not hope. This is happening. We're doing this, and then things start to go, and you get maybe a $5,000 sale or a $7,500 sale, and maybe a $10,000. Just really go, and you're like, and those kind of start coming back, and maybe the local magazine does a feature on you, and you're like,
right.
We're gonna be rich. We're amazing. And then you keep going, being rich, and you buy a new Yukon Denali, 20-inch rims, and everything's just incredible.
This is incredibly detailed.
It is. Scars in the back of your mind.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then you're like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
We have too much debt. We have not enough clients. Things are trending down. What has happened? Oh
Everybody
no.
hates us.
And then you're up here. OMG, we are doomed. This completely failed.
Yeah.
That is the life of an entrepreneur. That's basically how it works. The secret.
And what, before you go on, what does that timeline look like for you guys? Because I know that'd be for everybody, but you're speaking
just personally speaking
from experience.
2007, 2011, 2002. What's 13 minus 7?
6.
Homeschool or 6? Yeah, 6 years. 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, lifespan, maybe a rent, a lease agreement you signed.
Yeah, with a recession in there too.
With a recession in there. Yeah, we started actually in the housing
started
crisis,
in
2008.
Okay.
So, yeah, with the recession, and that has it has a little effect of the little nuances in there and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, so what I wanted to get to, the point is somewhere about the time we are going to be rich and you buy the new car, your growth team, if you're a solo entrepreneur, your structure, your drive has to start working on the jump off. And this is where the next S curve comes in, and that's where you jump off and you start again.
Okay.
And this may be a digital transition, this may be introducing new products, this may be a new space, this may be a total refresh, this may be reconnecting with your clients, and then you're going to go right through the same, it might be a completely new genre, a new direction you want to go with your business. But whatever, and that's one of those places where you just got to kind of trust your gut, where you're like, well, you get up here and you're doing things you don't love, and you're like, well, what do I really like doing? What really feels important to me? And that's where you right in here, when you're in the, oh my gosh, we're going to be rich, you start thinking about, well, what do I really like?
What's
for us, it's been some health issues. I've had some heart stuff that's kind of helped us drive those things and like kind of messing with the energy levels. And then you start back with the same thing. This is a terrible idea, but we're going to keep going because it's not going to work. It literally repeats itself.
We have to.
We have to. We have to do that. And people do like this new thing. And here we go again. You see where I'm going.
Yep.
And honestly, it just and then this will work you through a 30-year cycle. And now Michelle and I are up here. We've done 2 of these, I think, right? So we're somewhere in here, and we're like top of this. We're about up in here thinking about not retirement, but I'm doing some investing in different property and just different things. And it's like we're still strong in photography, and it's what we love. We're going to be in it for a long time. But we're looking at new. This is what kind of discussion we were having earlier. So Michelle and I are sort of, if we would split off, I'm doing more commercial type photography, which aligns with like kind of the edgier high-end senior work.
Yep.
And she is into luxury beauty photography, women, just all the feels and all the parts of life that really matter, and the long-term archival art is really what is where we're kind of two different directions we're going. So
sure.
it's and honestly, if you look at it this way, you can realize, damn, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's cool too, and the visual is good, Jeff. I'm glad that you did that.
Okay, sorry, guys. I hope I didn't.
Oh no, that's great.
Destroy all that.
Because I think that I need to stop at saying I know that after 30 years in business or 10 years in business or even 5, you do get to that plateau point and you get a little stagnant. It's like, oh man, if I could go back and change these things, I would do it different. Well, you can.
You can. Absolutely you can.
Yeah, and it would be advisable to do things different because it just keeps it much
and
more
so
fun.
in all that discussion, my advice is somewhere around that, it's just in that this is really going well, is just really implement growth strategy.
Yeah.
Is where do we want to go next?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? And be intentional about
staying positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Kindness and positivity.
Yeah.
Is be intentional about this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And this is why.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we always say, hindsight is 20/20.
Always.
It's so easy to look back at the Denali with the 20-inch rims.
Oh,
and
right.
be like, that maybe wasn't the best thing I could have done, but it was beautiful.
We should have pulled that photo up of me. There's a photo of me in I think rock revival jeans, down in front of it, being like, what's up?
I think I've seen that picture.
You probably did.
I think that I have.
Amazing.
So looking in the rearview mirror at that 2020, and obviously, you guys are doing it right with your brand, the image. You as a whole couple really fits everything. Looking back at the challenges that first curve created for you, is there anything that really stands out? Like this was really where I should have picked up on this, but we kind of didn't. Like, was there a pivotal point for either of you?
Oh, that's a great. I think yes. I think it's when others started growing around me, in my circle of influence, and I was not quite with that or understanding what they were doing.
Okay.
And that was for me, it was that feeling of gosh, what am I doing? They're moving, they're changing, they're making modifications, their businesses are moving. Just local people, friends that you're working with in business, and you see them making changes. That for me probably was the tripping point of oh, well, there's something happening here I need to understand.
Yeah.
And so that's when I just kind of started to seek out some mentors and what's going on?
Right. Yeah.
What am I missing here?
Well, and that's good. That you recognize that too. Even if it was maybe not in the exact moment, to keep your eyes open. And I hope that everybody listening today really hears that, because you have people who have been in business for a long time, and you have to pay attention to those indicators.
Yeah, you got to trust your gut.
Yeah,
you do. If you see something going awry, I think it goes back to what she says, the positivity part of it. Instead of
being real.
Yeah, and jumping into being jealous or upset with your friend or what are they doing that for? Maybe look back and be like, well, why are they doing that? Or what actually what is this? And because that energy can go both ways. You can be you can be envious, you can be jealous of somebody, you can be like, well, they're just going off doing whatever they So some self-awareness there, I think, is really important to come in.
For me,
and
I
kindness.
like to analyze things. So be like, what can I do that could be the same or better for our clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's shift a little bit and talk about your style.
Sure.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, like I mentioned before, you guys have a definite style, and for those of you following along, make sure and hit up your website, Instagrams, all the things. We'll let you share where people can find you at the end here. Where does that style come from? Like for you, Michelle?
For me, well, I like to shop. I love fashion. So
as Jeff turns to his mug,
tells me I have a problem. So anyway, I get my inspiration from looking at Gucci and Alice and Olivia. I love their photography style, and I just love fashion. Fashion's I love looking at all that. I follow Jay Mayhew. I went to visit her and get some new lighting techniques from her, and it's really awesome. So I love her style. It kind of seems similar to what I do, or what I want to do more. But we kind of relate, and it was really awesome.
That's very cool. And
very cool.
You were mentioning, Jeff, that you tend to go a little bit more towards a commercial style, which is very evident. But your styles flow.
Thank you. Yeah, we hope so. I think that maybe that's the internal influence of each other probably a little bit, and what we've learned and what we grow with. What direction we want to go with that? Because I mean, that's like I could talk a little bit about. Can you want some mentors?
Let's talk about your mentors, because that's kind of where you and I met. Years ago, and it was probably the late '90s.
I think so. Yeah. It was like right after I kind of got settled in working for my parents, by '98, '99. I think so. Yeah.
Because I can remember being at Larry Peters' seminar.
Sure. Yeah.
And Larry and I have gotten to be great friends over the years.
Learned so much of his. Yeah.
And he, we were chatting one night. He's like, you need to know the Richardsons. And I'm pretty sure we stopped at your place on the way back.
I think so, on the way back home, yeah. It's amazing.
So we know that Larry is a mentor.
Icon, yeah.
Who else for you?
Yeah. So it started back with my dad's influence when he sent me to Winona. I think he actually was taking a class with Don Blair, one of the original, just the bare bulb guy.
Yep.
Just incredible.
In the red hat?
The red hat, just incredibly talented photographers, and that's why I had to influence him there. We loved Monty Zucker's work in the wedding world. He was just an icon. And so Dad and I actually went to hear Monty. He signed a book for us. Okay. And we really got to learn, there was a time when we would take a background and 3 lights to a wedding. We would do a main fill kick and take those to a wedding and I think our wedding pictures actually had the portrait stuff.
Yeah.
And then at that point, actually that was when I first started. And then that's when Dad bought the studio down in Seymour. And that's when Larry's influence, I think a friend of my dad's actually had known about Larry's kind of props and his really cool in-studio stuff, and that's when we're like, well, we should just go over there.
Right.
And so then it became a family tradition where we went to Larry's studio in Dublin I think it was March every year. He had a workshop.
I remember that.
And just that major. And he introduced the North Light Studio and so working with Flash, and it was just. I think my whole entire growth as a photographer came from what I learned at Winona, and then translating that into what Larry was teaching. It was just amazing. We just learned so much from him and Larry, and his kids and stuff. We had a great time, and so that turned into the SPI years.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
So was it Terry that had the
Terry
SPI?
Harris,
Terry Harris had the SPI convention, and we all went down there. We would compete. I think it was a Fuzzy Dunkel. Met him down there, and his just incredibly detail crafted style of his work was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I met Kai and Santa. Yeah. And so they helped us jump to the digital transition. So they were super influential in helping our whole studio make that transition to digital, and I guess in-person sales came around we switched from proofs to in-person sales in that era.
Yeah.
And then we switched, and then from that point, that's when I really started diving into commercial work. Mario Testino's work, I've never met him, but would love to. His work was heavily influential in my kind of senior style and just a really trendy, good quality commercial photography.
Yep.
And then as of to date, I'd love to. I don't know if anybody follows Greg Swales on Instagram, but he's a top level modern fashion photographer. His work is just absolutely incredible. I'd love to at some point meet with him. His work is super inspirational. Just the best. Yeah. The best out there right now.
That's quite a deck of...
Isn't that a deck? It's a crazy deck of cards.
It
really is. And so, honestly, and if you back it up, I really just like good quality work that looks nice and connects with the audience. Right. I think it's just important that photography should connect with the viewer.
Well, and also connect as that person.
Yeah, right.
Their personality.
It connects that person
because everyone's different.
Yeah, agree.
Well, when you guys were both nice enough to send us your work.
Michelle's work. Yeah.
That's never going to die, Jeff.
It's not. It's not going
to look at your images, and we created some sets and stuff out of your sessions, and you can just tell people are having a great time.
Oh, love that.
It's not just a photograph. You can tell there's fun interactions, and the kids are laughing, and it's so well done, well lit, well posed. You can tell that there's a lot that goes into those. And I can completely understand what you said a few minutes ago about people don't even know that you're starting to photograph.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just happening, and it magically these images appear.
Right.
So for you to get to the style you're at, your branding, all that stuff, people have to be able to come alongside you.
They do.
And take this journey with you. And, like I mentioned earlier this morning when we were walking around the lab, you're going 100 mile an hour the other direction than most photographers are going right now.
Oh my gosh.
And people are doing the U-turn and coming with you, on your client base. How do you find those people, or are they finding you, or how does that work? I'll let Michelle take this one first.
It's probably a mixture of both. We have a lot of word of mouth, and then our Instagram and Facebook people
Digital
checking.
marketing.
Yes, digital marketing.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. So it's mostly from that kind of a visual representation where people are seeing your style, seeing your consistency in your posts,
Right.
and they're like, that's what I want, because that doesn't look like anybody else's.
Right.
I think that's this kind of leads into my energy and authenticity kind of statement is so. I guess I grew up doing studio work. I like it. I think it looks nice. It connects with people. It
doesn't matter if it rains.
It doesn't matter if it
Right.
rains. It's just it's not horribly complex, but it just delivers a really, really archival product that the client will just. I mean, I've got seniors that still have their headshot as their bio 4, 5, 6 years later. It's a really powerful to have really good quality work. I think it's the one thing that we can stand on. I think is really what it boils down to me. And so, and knowing a little bit about that and trying to keep crafting that over the years, I thought I knew everything there was to know about lighting. Until she went to Jay's website or workshop, and I was like, oh. Okay, yeah, there's some more to learn.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah. She was doing like this triple diffusion stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Anyway, sorry, ADD brain, but
Squirrel.
Squirrel. But yeah, so back up a little bit. So energy, our energy in our sessions, as you mentioned, has been a huge part of our life.
Yeah.
I brought a lot of energy to the table. Well, to back up a little bit, in the height of our high energy and probably one of our oh crap moments, I found out I had a major heart problem. And so I had in 2012, was that right? I had to have open heart surgery for the first time and have a valve replaced. And so, but because energy was such a big part of our brand, and therefore lacking energy or just being like, oh, I can't do this, it became important for me to be intentional about where, and I just don't like low energy situations. I really don't.
That's when I
just
started a lot.
Yeah, I just don't like them. Yeah, she shot a ton to cover, and it was amazing. But I just don't like low energy environments. I like things that are people who are given really 70-80%. Like this. When I walked in here, I knew immediately this is not a low energy situation. No. There's a lot going on here.
We drink a lot of Red Bull.
Right, and you're very, very intentional about what this is. And this is personally, I just vibe with that. And so get back. We had to be intentional about how to create energy, and we knew that in a studio controlled environment that we could set up good lighting. We could do good music, high end experience. The little touch point. She's ordering some like slippers, I think, online right now for our clients to have hotel slippers when they come in.
Fun. Yeah.
Just little things that we can do to create that upbeat. Really positive, and so then in burst I could work with good energy, and I still do that today. And
you have to get lunch for people.
Yeah, and lunch, and Chick-fil-A apps on speed dial,
It's Chick-fil-A.
and all the things that we need to create energy, and Alani energy drink. So this is, I think, so energy is a big deal. So we've learned how to craft that. So the studio environment has been what we like, and so it's connected with people. So then I think that's where people are making the turn, and they're coming along with us in what we love and what we want to create. And I think at the end of the day, it's just a better quality product.
Yeah,
I really do. Just personally speaking.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I like how that's a good quote. You're creating energy.
Yeah, we be intentional about creating the energy points. Yeah, and then the authenticity is right behind it because this is what we do. It's what we love. So we have to follow that. We follow that track. So yeah.
So there's one word that pops up into your marketing all the time that I've seen in your social media.
I love it.
And epic is that word.
I love it.
So in your words, both of you, or one of you, or at the same time, high five and
He
go.
says epic all the time.
Define that, Jeff. Tell us what that means to you.
I put out an email with like what's the acronym? You did the EPIC, but I forgot what it was. It was like it was energy. I think energy. It was precision. I can't remember what the other one was. Intentionality, I think, and then
creativity.
Yeah, I think it's creativity. I think is what it was. But I was trying to pull it up, but I couldn't get it done in time. So. I'll send that email. I'll post the link to that email in the because we actually kind of spent some time thinking about it. But it really does. It goes back to energy and authenticity is how I create epic.
Yeah.
That said, you know how she says love it right now. Love it.
Yeah. Right.
Amazing. And awesome. So you know how I think photographers have words they use, bywords.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, looks amazing, killing it. Let's go. There's always. I don't even know what mine is right now. I have to pull up a camera and start shooting. We figure out what. I don't know. It may not be epic right now, but during a period when we were doing some rebranding at one of the jump offs,
our seniors loved it.
We decided. So my marketing consultant, he was like, I think I had photographed them. He's like, dude, everything you do is epic. So he actually just took that and ran with it. He said, well, this is simple. He just flushed out all of our old marketing. He branded, used the word epic, put it into the logo, and says, so we went to Richardson Studio, epic photography. It's really simple, and so people connected with that, and it was that led to one of our other, like, we're gonna be rich moments. Yeah. So and then we've continued to keep that's solid branding, and so we've kept that because we try, and so that goes back to the 70-80% energy rule. We try to make sure that what we're doing is a pretty epic experience.
Yeah.
I think, and that's why our visions align, is because we got to the hotel last night, and we've got someone holding the sign for us. We get to the hotel, you guys have got a gift for us, put us up at a great hotel. Honestly, it was an epic experience.
It was awesome.
It was really nice for us, because we're always entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told Michelle, I was like, I'm not.
You guys
sure.
can just kick back.
I'm like, I'm not
right?
actually
Except
sure
for this. This is
does this work? I was like, I'm not actually even sure what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Because I didn't even bring a laptop or a camera.
That's
on this
good.
trip.
I didn't
Like,
either.
Yeah, I like that you walked out of the hotel this morning with just.
Yeah.
I know,
I had
it
just
was
a
so
purse.
weird.
Yeah, I had my phone in my hands. So anyway, yeah.
So let's switch a little bit and talk about sales.
Okay.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how are you doing your sales? Are you doing all in person? Are you doing Zoom? Are you doing
It's
galleries?
mostly in person.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so
and you're doing that,
I do
Michelle?
that, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can you kind of walk us through your process on that a little bit?
So I usually go through the images, have it all ready, they're retouched, and I put them with a cool slideshow presentation on our TV it's like a huge TV in our studio.
Okay.
So we have a nice couch for them to sit on. I have them either have wine, beer, or some kind of drink they would prefer.
Yep.
And we just kind of sit back and relax and enjoy the show. So I have a cool music slideshow for them, usually with their favorite songs that they love.
Yep.
And so then I put it together, and then I go through the process. After they saw all of that, then we go through and we do a process of elimination to see if they can narrow that down. And then if they can't,
To see if they can.
Yeah.
I can't.
So yes.
And how long after your session is completed are people coming back?
Well, we try 7 to 10 business days.
Okay.
So is
Yeah,
our
and
goal.
that's another discussion. We're in an S-curve jump right now. As a lot of photographers are doing it in the same day, and I'm looking
Yeah.
into that. I'm on the fence on. I mean, there is some success going on with that right now in the industry.
Right, we're learning about some
Yeah.
tethering that
Okay.
I
some
know about.
other photographers are
I
doing.
shoot
So we're like,
tethering in my commercial world quite a bit, but
thinking
we're
about trying it.
Right.
we do at least. I mean, we're quick.
Yeah.
It's 5 to 7 days. I think we try to have them back.
Okay.
But there's a major component, and this is just talking right now. But
Yep.
there's a major component to the high at the shoot being
Right.
so high that if you could become even more streamlined and bring them into a a lot of it depends on kind of like how much energy drain too you've done that day. So.
Yeah.
Decision making is necessary, but yeah, we're definitely exploring that. But right now, it's 7-10 days. We do like to pre-retouch
Yeah.
a lot of our work. We think a client can't purchase what they can't see.
Yeah.
So we try to get that at least on screen ready. It's not finished retouch, but
Yep.
we try to get it on screen ready
Close.
to where close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And then couple hours for that appointment, hour and a half?
she tries to
I've
be
got
quick.
it to about an hour and a half.
People,
Yeah.
people
So
are busy.
you're efficient.
Yeah.
Very.
And I could see too, like, I think that there's arguments both ways, like you were saying,
There
Jeff,
are.
for, having somebody come back 7 to 10 days versus same day. But, especially if you're doing part of the session, then you're also doing the sale. Those are two uniquely parts of the brain
They
Right,
are.
right.
that you have to turn one off and
Yep.
start one up,
Yes.
and that can be challenging too.
Yeah.
Agree.
So
Yeah, that's an S-curve jump off that we're really looking at right now.
yeah.
See where that takes us.
Yeah, it'll be
So.
kind of fun to see what
Yeah.
you decide on that. So product-wise, now you mentioned earlier we got to see one of your albums being made at the lab this
Beautiful.
morning, which is a really cool
Watch for a
process.
reel on that. It's gonna be awesome.
We have an awesome album team here, and they enjoyed working with you on that. So we know that you love albums. What else are you using for your flagship products?
Been using your large portraits, like a 30 by 40 that gets framed and matted.
Just incredible.
And then a lot of your canvases.
Okay.
We sell a lot of the 16 by 24 or bigger
Okay.
in some of our packages.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't
Yeah.
want to shit on other parts, but we actually, in one of our jump offs, we actually changed our size of our building. We actually went to a more high-end retail space, but
Okay.
with less space.
Okay.
Was for some like rent savings, but you had a better presentation.
Yep.
We lost kind of our production area. We decided to just give that up.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you guys are doing finished framing.
And it's really awesome. We love
Isn't that
it.
nice?
It's
We love
incredible.
it.
If I had
I mean, I
the
don't think
time
people
back that I
understand
spent
how-
framing,
Right.
I'd be 10 years
Oh my
younger.
gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
We did 15 years framing. And right now I can go in and she can finish retouch. We do an inspection process
Yeah.
on it. we loaded into your web software. I don't know if that's the direction you're heading, but it was great.
Amazing.
Like your website ordering, you drop that image in, you log in, you can start to see the mat size come in, the frame gets picked.
Yep.
And then
it's pretty slick.
we can either put a logo and have it drop shipped, or if it's the top client, we want to like go ahead and like
deliver.
Well, it has both. It goes both directions.
Yeah.
If the client's out of town,
yeah,
you guys will beautifully drop ship to them.
Yeah.
And they love. We had a client in the Windermere, Florida area, one of our best clients, and they did a 30 by 40 canvas with the bigger frame.
I remember that.
Yeah, beautiful. And for them, it worked amazing. Because it was actually shot on location in Florida. Back home was produced virtual sales appointment.
Yeah.
And then we produced the product, got it retouched, ready to go, uploaded to you via the web portal, and drop shipped to them. And they were so pumped, dude. They were sending me videos.
It was awesome.
Literally sending me videos of unpacking the White House box. It's laying down. They're holding it up, comparing it.
We were matching it to something that.
And
they've
it
done
was
before.
just, it was a really eye-opening experience. So like,
was.
oh, well, this works.
Yeah. It works really well.
And I mean, I think the premium quality product, if you're watching, you don't get to know how much that costs. Sorry, Jamie and JJ. No, they're great friends. They love it. But yeah, it's a great, as a premium product, it's one of your probably most expensive products. Amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
good.
Again, when you and I were talking on the phone, Jeff, another thing that you said is to know what you're worth and more.
Oh, for sure.
Go.
I need my drawing board again. Well, and some other friends and mentors advice. So if you, the cost of doing business is the first thing you have to analyze. And I could go deep into that, and we could probably chat online later about there's 3 hours. But you absolutely have to know your cost of doing business. And and I'm talking real business. We're talking like your rent, your insurance, the gas for your vehicle, how to get to work.
Those rims.
The rims. Yeah. The clothes you wear, the food, the Chick-fil-A ordering. There's a major component to the cost of doing business.
Yep.
Camera upgrades, and we're all the mirrorless switching right now. We're in the midst of making some major camera upgrades. We're talking $10, $15, $20, $30,000 in gear. Had to be, flash tubes blow out of your pro photos. They got to be reordered. There's a cost of doing business.
Right.
And it's not just a small little, my hosting fee. There's a cost of doing business.
Yep.
You have to know that, and then you have to go to what that is, and then we need to at least 3x that, and then we got to I like to say 4 or 5x it probably is better, and at minimum three times that cost of doing business, and then take that to your what you want to get out of each client, what your average is, then how many times a week or month you have to do that, and then that narrows you right down to how you're marketing and who you're marketing to.
Right. So if I can
you can expand on that. So I'm going quick, but
no, that's fine. So if I could be so bold, you're really like looking to the end and you're kind of working
backwards.
Absolutely. Like
yeah.
You're building out what your month needs to look like, 100%. And then you're backing up.
Yeah, we have to know what the month, the year needs to be, how many clients we're going to fill that, what that client looks like, the time involved to create that amount of work.
Yeah.
And then what we need to charge accordingly that for just for cost of living and projecting for investing and all the stuff and that kind of stuff. So
sure.
it's a little nerdy. I mean, don't think I'm type A, and maybe a little bit, but like I live in both worlds a little. I enjoy that part of it. I kind of get deep enough into it to understand where I'm at, and then pull out back to creative side.
Yeah.
But it's a very important discussion that as you're starting new curves that you really dive into. Where are we going to go with this?
Right.
And I will say over the years we have, we shoot less and less clients with we've done both. I've got a ton of clients and then lower average. We've done the very, very few clients, super high average, and then back to a super consistent like upper middle average, which is where I kind of right now has been our sweet spot.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that as you're talking to successful studios across the U.S. and Canada, that is that spot. It's not here. It's just kind of tucked in the middle.
Taking care of really good clients that cover a wide range of incomes. Honestly.
Yeah. So I know we have time for like maybe one more question here. So I'm kind of going through.
We are burning time.
Yeah, we went through fast.
Sorry.
How much does the demographics of your region, state, town, neighborhoods influence like your ability to succeed and grow? And
that's a hot topic with us right now.
So Michelle, you were looking at me like, ooh, I'll take this one.
You unlocked it. You unlocked it. Yeah. Oh boy.
So how does that really factor in? Because there's opinions all over the board
There are.
about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're not doing things in your community, then they'll be like, are they still doing anything? Like, are they still around?
Got to be engaged.
So you really need to be engaged with the people around in your community and places, I think. Yeah.
So, I think it definitely influences some. Do we have time for me to give me one more algorithm?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to do this quickly.
Yep, for sure.
So I think there's target clients everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's a broad spectrum. And so my hack, here's a little hack. To know your per image cost, go onto Zillow and Google average home sale price for 47201. That's a zip code south of us. Type that in.
Okay.
And it'll come up, Zillow link will come up and it'll say what the house sells for. And so say that is
on the average.
On the average. The average home sale price in 2022 was in this zip code was let's say it's $195,000 for your demographic.
Okay.
That is your meter in your algorithm. You should be charging $195 per image. And you can almost use that in every single demographic. You go to Washington, D.C., and Google the average home price in Arlington, it's going to come up at about $500,000. Charge $495 per digital. You might go to, northeastern or southeastern Ohio, it might be like $145 or $125, in a very rural community with not a lot of, not a lot of larger cities around it.
Yep.
If you've got a small business in a nice town, charge $100, $120 per image. I don't think it's proven, but it sure feels like it works.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good average. And when I say per image, that's you will as a client, you'll decide what that looks like. For us, it's like per image is the full res digital file and a print because we want it's a combo of things. So and you can go many directions with that.
Yeah.
But per image is kind of a really, and then obviously when you hit that, this is what they cost per image. Then as a client say buys more images, you can start to build packages that shrink that per image cost. But then that gets you up to that number that you got to do per client. So that makes sense in a quick
what you're really saying is that the area demographic neighborhood really influences what that cost should be.
It doesn't necessarily influence whether you're going to be successful or not.
Okay.
It influences what you can charge and what
the market will
what
bear.
the market will
Right.
bear
Okay.
is the best way to say that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great way of saying that.
Okay.
And I think there's something there for everyone. I mean, I really do. So, and then obviously, the Sun Belt seems to be trending, but we're up here in, and I love it up here in the summer. I honestly, I need a business. We need two businesses. We need something in the, in the Sun Belt region, and then that runs strong through the winter, and then up here, and we need to be up in the land of the lakes, so I can have my boat up here, and I can fish all summer, and it'd just be
There's
fantastic.
a lot of lakes to choose from up here.
Oh my God.
We've noticed that.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking I need two studios at this
There you
point.
go.
Yeah. So,
That's a good idea,
yeah.
Jeff. Yeah.
Right. Why not?
Why not? Right, exactly. So, in closing,
Okay.
let's just do this real quick, and then I'm going to let you each individually answer this. If people want to find you online, where do they do that? Tell us your website, Instagram, like all that stuff, so people can find you.
Got it. Go ahead.
Well, richardsonstudio.com, right?
Yeah, I think that's the main website.
Oh,
That's our main
it
website.
changed from net to com, so I
Yeah.
always get myself confused.
Got it?
And then my personal Instagram is Michelle Richardson.
Yep.
And then I have my beauty one is, what is it?
RS Beauty by Michelle.
RS Beauty by Michelle.
RS Beauty X Michelle.
X Michelle, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then Richardson Studio is
It's the main.
main one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
RichardsonStudio.com is the best place to find all of our
You can find all
of our
that usually,
goodies.
yeah.
Stays nice and solid. Most of our current most fun activities will be pushed out on Instagram, and that's just at Richardson Studio. Very easy to find.
Yep.
You can find me on personal. I am Jeff Rich. I've only got a few hundred followers, but I'll post.
I'm one.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll post fishing and cigar videos on there. Good bourbon stuff every once in a while. So that's a lot of fun. And some of the side stuff we're doing, and then her RS Beauty by Michelle is where that's our S-curve jump off. We're building that right now, and we're kind of in the. It's probably not going to work mode, but man, we're going to make it go. So check in with us.
It's climbing.
It's coming. Yeah.
So if you were going to give our listeners a piece of advice, inspirational advice, from each of your perspectives, for somebody who's maybe at that bottom, or who maybe has not understood that you need to jump off and start something new, and they've hit that plateau and they're like, ugh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What would that inspirational piece of advice, and we'll go ladies first here.
Okay. I would always say try to stay positive, be kind, do some things that help you be yourself, And then I always feel like that helps you keep on going and stay in your lane.
And stay in your lane. Yeah. Cool.
She's
Jeff,
good,
what
she's
about
good
you?
about that. I think two things. One is remember the short existence of our lifespan. It's really small, relatively speaking. And so all these points are really fun in there. And so then be intentional about each one of them. Wherever you're at, just really being, I mean, sometimes that's hard to do. I'm not going to lie. It's very hard. But if we realize this is short, so how can we be intentional about each, I mean, it's intentionality about the cigar I'm smoking. It's intentional about coming up to see you. It's intentional about how we're going home. Photographing the Assembly of God AG World Director when we get back. It's important, his role in what he does. So every single piece is super intentional. And so we try to be intentional, and then let's just enjoy each one of those. And I think so, short existence, intentionality creates a lot of fun. So
that's awesome,
right?
I hope everybody listened to that.
Yeah,
rewind and listen to it again. That's a lot of good stuff.
It makes life a really good time. I mean, so
enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
being here with you guys is awesome.
Yeah,
it's fun.
This is fantastic. You guys did a phenomenal job.
Oh, I hope so.
Thank you for doing this.
This is not my
with us.
forte.
This is
I'm familiar with it. I'm usually back there. Directing. I'm usually coaching through, and I'm on that side. But it's a lot of fun to be on this side and talk with you a little more about how we do things and why we do them. So it's a good time. It's good. It's fun, right? Did you have fun?
I had fun.
Awesome. And thank you all for joining us today. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to the WHCC YouTube, make sure and hit that subscribe button. Follow us on WHCC Pro on Instagram, and for all your product questions and details, WHCC.com. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks to Jeff and Michelle for being here.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the next YouTube Live. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Yep. See you.